Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
It's round number 3, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge's 10th season, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Buck Kicker here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the announcement, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod, or as I like to call him, Brian, with Jonathan Grabowski working behind the scenes to give you all the best views of tonight's action. Because Larry and I felt like we just didn't spend a long enough time on our cultural pilgrimage to the Emilia-Romagna region in northern Italy a few weeks ago. Tonight, we and our GTP and GT3 racers, we head back, not for another stab at round one post Imola, but to a circuit that plays host to everything from Grand Prix motorcycle racing to Formula E and Formula 4, as well as numerous sports car championships like our World Challenge, where our GT3 and GTP racers will engage in a 75-minute fight for glory. Now just 51 years young and named for a local legend who gave his life for the sport he loved at MotoGP's 2011 Malaysian Grand Prix. Welcome to Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. Good evening, Larry, and welcome back to Valpaese, where the only things historic this weekend are once again you and me.
Well, you know, and we both are. Trust me, I'm feeling extra historic today.
Yes.
But no, I think I got ready for this by having just a little bit of the Italian ice cream over the weekend. I figured, you know, may as well get ready for another track in Italy by having a little bit of gelato over the weekend. So I'm all in the mood now, and I'm ready for some Italian fighting maybe. So we'll see if we got anything out there tonight, see what kind of fights we have. It's an all-new circuit, I think, for almost everybody. We'll see if anybody has any practice ahead of time, or whoever had the most time available this week to put the time in is going to probably be the one to do well tonight.
Indeed. And, and from watching a preview of our track guide tonight, I'm getting the feeling it was the first time for Kevin Ford also, Larry. Let's do this. Let's turn things over to Kevin. He's going to give us tonight's track guide of the Misano World Circuit.
Welcome everyone to the beautiful Misano GP circuit located here in Misano, Italy, as we travel through turn 1 and make our way into turn 2. We'll set up our entry for turn 3 here, taking quite a bit of curb. We'll track back out left here as we make our way down towards turns 4, 5, and 6. Very slow section here through 4. We'll come right back into a lot of curb up turn 5, and then back ultimately into turn 6. A fast exit here. Want to get a good launch onto this straightaway, as this will take us down through the slight bend of turn 7, and then towards an overtaking opportunity here into turn 8. Heavy on the brakes as we rotate down to the very bottom of that apex. We'll get a good launch up off of 8 here as we make our way towards turn 9. This is a very slight right. We will stay track left here and get a nice wide rotation into the bottom of turn 10. This will bring us up onto another little short straightaway, and again, overtaking opportunities here as we make our way down towards turn 11 here. These are slight right-handers through 11, very fast section. Now down into 12. Again, we'll stay track left here to set up our entry into 13, and then ultimately get heavy on the brakes into the hairpin here of turn 14, known as Caro. Coming up off of this, we're going to get right back track right, set up our entry into 15 as we approach the final corner, known as Misano, a very tight left-hander into 16, and ultimately back out onto the front straightaway. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Misano GP. Thank you for being with us.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of the Misano World Circuit. And, Larry, looking at that track guide, it is just absolutely flat.
Yes, it is.
There are no elevation changes, or no discernible elevation changes there, as well as we've got our drivers starting to head out for their qualifying session here. And I think we're watching John Casey early on in the session here as he's working his out lap now. And I mean, we saw that from Kevin. There are a lot of, at least in the GT3 cars like he was driving, a number of very low gear, low speed corners. We've got the hairpins, the multiple hairpins at Carcia, turn 8, another one at turn 10, another one at turn 14, Caro, and and then we've got like the chicane just as you get to the end of the front straight. I mean, this is a track that has just these starts and stops, these fits, and it's gonna make for some very chaotic racing tonight. I think the only saving grace we have is that Misano, which was widened about 15 years ago, is a fairly wide circuit. I believe it's an FIA Grade 2 circuit, and there's a lot of room there.
Yeah, up a lot, especially with these hairpins and things. You might see a lot of, we'll call them aggressive opportunities for overtaking. Where some of the tracks that just kind of flow and don't really have an opportunity to shove a nose in somewhere, this place just might. So it may surprise us tonight as we've got a 75-minute burst of speed in front of us. We'll see what we get. But drivers right now, they're out there on their qualifying, so they're the only one. They get this whole place to themselves, get to play around with the 1Xs and the off tracks all by themselves. As Travis Schwenke there showing us may or may not be an off track. We'll see when he comes across the line if he's actually got a lap in the books.
We'll see here
it's
in just
starting one.
Exactly. And so our drivers, they're out for their 15-minute qualifying session, and as we always do, Larry, we'll give them 4 attempts to set their fastest lap, 4 laps here, and it is what is known as lone qualifying. So they're going to have the track all to themselves. They don't have to worry about the traffic that they are inevitably going to encounter when our green flag flies and we start racing here for 75 minutes. But as they are out on track, let's quickly take a look. We should have, looking to see, I think we'll have, I think Leo Dragotta and a few drivers coming in fairly soon to complete their first flying laps as we take a look at Jeff Brooks right now in his Audi. And there are a couple very long straightaways here coming out of that hairpin at turn 10. Very high-speed right-hander that I believe we just saw Brooks go into, but then you get this very quick right-hander with a switchback right after it. It's one of those things that I think getting a rhythm here is going to be very difficult. And actually, he was coming in, I think, to the final corner there, as we just saw him coming out of 14, 15, and then here's the final corner, 16 onto the front straight. And so first laps are now in the books. They're starting to come in. Milan Harris in his GTP Cadillac jumps to the top of the leaderboard with a time of 1:24.64. Nikki Chan, second fastest. Ryan Reisman, third, and Aaron Beaver, and those are the first laps. And now that we've got some times on the boards, Larry, let's take a quick look at how we're going to spot our different drivers. Obviously, the GTP cars, the prototypes, pretty easy to pick out from our GT cars here, but you will notice that on the sides of the cars, they've got black number boards and mirrors and windshield banners, etc., yada, yada, yada. And when you look at our timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen, you've got them denoted in black. In GT3, we actually have two different classes. We've got GT3 Pro and GT3 AM. Let's jump and take a quick look at GT3 Pro, where our fastest driver after the opening lap is Robert Hartley from Orion Racing. And the pro drivers, they're going to have the Ricmotec Red. Wow, big slide there from Hartley. The Ricmotec Red number boards, windshield banners, mirrors, and end plates on their wings. And on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see them denoted in red. And then we've got our GT3 AM drivers. And we'll look at Ilya Speaker here, driving the number 86 Porsche for Rockefeller Racing. And Speaker, currently our second fastest driver, like all of the other AM drivers, has green number boards, mirrors, windshield banners, and end plates on the wings. And on the left-hand side of the screen there, you see them all in green.
And Speaker now with the quickest lap time of anybody driving a GT3, and that's right now provisional pole in AM. You'll notice our timing tower on the left-hand side has got the AMs in green, the pros in reds. Right now the AMs are listed above the pros until right there. Thank you, Ken Copeland, for shifting that as we're talking about it. The faster of the classes will be the one listed in that order. That's why GTPs are at the top. But Ken Copeland now to the front of the line in GT3 Pro. Travis Schwenke just on his outside. So that's your overall front row, as we've talked about in the past couple weeks. But if you're new to the Ricmotec series, the GT3s are a mixed grid of pros and AMs. They are not separated. They, however, as GT3 cars, will be a separate start from the GTPs.
Exactly. All right, so as we've got our times coming on in, and it's still pretty early here in the qualifying session, Larry, let's take a quick look back 2 weeks ago when our racers were at Laguna Seca, of all places. And we knew that was not necessarily going to be a disaster, but we definitely had some drama on the very last lap for our GTP cars. That is for sure. But let's take a look at the how things finished up there, and we'll take a look at the point standings after 2 rounds. We'll start off with GT3 AM, where Ilya Speaker took the win in his Rockefeller Racing Porsche there. Avon Dorsey, his teammate, finished second. Ian Patience for the Wrong Stuff finished in third in his Porsche 911. So all Porsches sitting atop the GT3 podium, GT3 AM podium, that is. Stacy Bertrand from Rockefeller finishing in fourth, and Andre Wedderburn from Mousespeed fifth. And if we take a look at the point standings in AM, it is Ilya Speaker currently at the top of the leaderboard. He has a 10-point advantage over Avon Dorsey, his Rockefeller teammate. Then Patience, another 10 points back from there, and another 15 points back to Adam Ballard. So look at that, a lot of Rockefeller racers. They're up at the top of the leaderboard in AM. Then we've got the Frito Sport Racing entry of Greg Brockway. Good to see Brockway there up in 5th position. Good start to the season for him. Let's take a look at the pros in GT3. And it was an all Orion podium at Laguna Seca, with Mike Dam taking the win, Travis Schwenke finishing second, Leo Dragota finishing in third, and all 3 of those Orion racers also in Porsches. Finishing in fourth was the Wrong Stuff's Michael Brooks, with Robert Hartley from Orion finishing in fifth. And if we take a look at the point standings in Pro after 2 rounds, it is Mike Dam, your leader. Then Leo Dragota, 13 points back from there. Another 3 points back to Michael Brooks, who's driving his Wrong Stuff Lamborghini Huracan this season, and then Robert Hartley in fourth, Charlie Hosea in fifth, Hosea in a BMW M4 GT3, also racing for Rockefeller Racing. So a lot of, I call it dominance there for Rockefeller and across the classes, and obviously Orion there at the top of Pro. In GTP, we said that there was some drama on the last lap, Larry. Taking the win for D2D Sim Racing was Palakui Grant with Tanner Dibble and Jordan Butler rounding out the top 10, the top 3. Dibble and Butler racing for DNA Motorsports with Grant in an Acura, with Dibble and Butler, though, I believe, running the Porsche 963s. And, we had, I believe, coming into the final corners, Larry, actually, it was coming out of the corkscrew, and the pain did not finish until turn 11. I think it was Ben Rose who had a pretty good opportunity to take the win, and instead finished in 16th place, and we'll just kind of leave it there. If we take a look at the point standings now after 2 rounds, it is Palakui Grant for D2D Sim Racing. He is your points leader, but it's so close. He's got a 1-point advantage over DNA's Tanner Dibble. Dibble driving the Porsche 963, whereas Grant is driving the Acura ARX-06. And then Grant's teammate, Bailey Petrowski, currently sitting 3rd in the championship. He is 15 points back from Dibble. Nicky Chan from Last 10th Racing, 4th. Bobby Childs for D2D, currently 5th in the championship. And you can see there, and actually you see there, as I take a look at it, Bobby Childs is actually tied right now with Reisman for 5th. And then we've got Jordan Butler only a single point back from there in 7th, and it's very, very tight in that midfield.
But a few drivers not in the session tonight, and Bobby is going to be one of them. Hopefully he's going to show up in the chat, as he usually does like to watch him, but I don't think we're going to see him driving this week. He'll have to call this a drop and head back out here in 2 weeks for the next round, but that's a good opportunity for Reisman and the others that are in that close points battles, because Reisman is in the sim. You can see him right there on the outside provisionally of row 2.
All right, and so we're waiting right now, and Larry, we were supposed to interview him at Laguna Seca. Unfortunately, the stars and maybe the time zones did not align. But hopefully we'll have Michael Caffrey from Dominate Racing joining us here in just a few moments. He's gotten his 4 qualifying laps in, and he is currently, and I guess this isn't going to change, 8th fastest in GT3 AM in his Dominate Racing Mercedes. Hopefully we'll see him in just a few moments. His time is starting to run down in qualifying. We only have a few drivers out on track, and I believe, Larry, as we watch Josh Vidal right now, he is the only driver besides Leo Dragota, who is currently our provisional pole sitter in Pro, that have not completed their 4 flying laps.
Oh, we'll see if he's able to get those laps in. But yeah, because it's such a short track, you can see those lap times, especially for the GTP, it's just under 1:30. It doesn't take too long to lay your 4 laps down here tonight. So some of the guys, even though they've got their 4 in, are continuing out there, like Stephen May, who just decided to finally pull it back in. Josh Vidal has finished his. Jeff Jacobs is out there still turning laps. There he is.
And I think Jeff is probably just trying to get some practice in, Larry.
Yes.
You know, as we found,
I can tell you, Jeff was not practicing this past weekend because he was at an SCCA event, in fact, that I was at up in Maine. I know unless he brought his sim all the way to Maine, I don't think he was practicing that. So he probably is just trying to get a few laps in here extra to be ready for this the 75 minutes.
You mean Maine, the gelato capital of North America?
See, you weren't supposed to give that away. That I wasn't exactly in Tuscany eating that gelato, but yes, I was in Maine eating gelato with a lobster. All right.
All right, so Leo Dragota brings his car down the pit lane. It looks like Leo is going to start on pole for our GT3 racers. Good qualifying session for the young man here. And then Charlie Hosea, who is our sole driver left. Looks like this fourth flying lap for him, Larry. Not so much flying.
No, definitely not.
So it looks like he's going to have to be content starting 9th in GT3 Pro. And so there have been some new additions to the GT3 ranks. The iRacing platform just rolled out its new season, and we've got the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, which is going to be joining the GT3 ranks in iRacing, as well as the Chevy Corvette. I believe it's just called the GT3R, if I remember correctly. And so we may start to see some of those cars a little bit later this season.
And I don't know if the admins have decided to add those, because the general rule in the series is you have to pick one car for the full season. You can't be swapping cars. So a driver, in order to do that, would have to give up their points they've earned so far.
That is true.
And start over. So being that we're a couple rounds in, not sure we're going to see that, but you never know. Somebody might try, or we'll just wait until the next season, and then we'll probably see a whole flood of Mustangs and Corvettes. It'll be all Americans out there instead, maybe a few less of the German cars.
Yeah. All right, so all of our drivers have finished qualifying, and Larry, for the second week in a row, Michael Caffrey from Dominate Racing, he's a no-show.
He's focusing in on Masano.
Yes.
All right, so
exactly. So locked in. So there you go. Qualifying now is complete. And our drivers will be heading on track, starting the grid up here in just a moment. Larry, a little bit smaller GTP field than we have had the last number of weeks. And I think that might be owing to the fact that so few drivers have actually raced Misano before. That, like for us, the new circuit for many of our racers, we had at Laguna Seca 17 drivers in GTP. Tonight, only 7.
Good opportunity for those 7 to get some points. So we'll see if these guys can survive 75 minutes.
Well, there you go. All right, so let's start off here with our GTP racers. And Larry, look at these the qualifying times here. Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing on the pole with a qualifying time of 1:20. We'll call it a 1:23 flat, almost 1.6 seconds up on Milan Harris, who's going to start on the outside of row number 1. Starting second will be Nikki Chan, and then we've got Ryan Reisman starting in 4th. Elias Halabi will start on the inside of row number 3, with Aaron Beaver starting 6th, and then Bill Mulfield will round out the 7-car GTP field.
All right, in GT3, while it's 1.6 seconds separating the top 2 in GTP, 1.6 seconds is 23 entries in GT3s. So let's go through this grid. On the pole tonight, driving the Ryan entry, it's going to be Leo Dragotta at 135.4. On his outside is going to be Ken Copeland. Ken, of course, from the Wrong Stuff Racing. On the inside of row 2 is going to be Brian Bennett, Sector 5 Racing, lined up alongside Travis Schwenke from Orion. On row 3 on the inside is going to be the fastest of our AM drivers, Ilya Speaker from the Rockefeller Racing GT3. On the outside is going to be Jeff Brooks from the Wrong Stuff Racing. On the next row behind there, Avon Dorsey from another Rockefeller Racing. Going to hear that name a lot here in the AM ranks. He'll be lined up with a teammate, Adam Ballard. Row behind him, it's again all Rockefeller on the inside, Stacy Bertrand. On the outside, Keith Stein. Going down from there, Robert Hartley and Orion Racing going to be lined up with Dominate Racing's David Steiner. Then we get to Jennifer McDonald from BTL Motorsports and Jeff Jacobs from SCCF Foundation. Now we get to a Dragon Sport Racing entry. Lucas Dragotta lined up with Michael Caffrey from Dominate Racing, the second entry we've seen from that group. Behind them, Rocky Rocco from Rockefeller Racing.
Say that 10 times real quick.
I will say it many times.
3 times real quick.
Yes. He'll be lined up alongside Charlie Hosea and Charlie from Rockefeller Racing as well. Behind them, Mayforce Racing, Stephen May, and Josh Fidel from Warrior Enterprises. Then you got Mile Speed Racing's Andre Wedderburn and Greg Brockway from Burrito Sport. You got Russ Ruddock from the Flying Tortoise and John Casey from Burrito Sports. And then finally, Jason Burmeister and Chris Thorman, who did not turn a lap in qualifying.
No. Yeah, so we'll see if he makes it to the grid. And it looks like Bill Mulfield not making it out for the start of the pace lap either.
Oldfield appears to have disconnected from the session. I didn't see if Thorman did, but then again, I may have joined after he had already disappeared. So we'll see.
Yeah, and Thorman hadn't set a qualifying time, so
he did practice though.
Yes. And so we've got now all of our GTP cars behind the pace car, and a little bit further back are our GT3 cars. They had to do a little bit of a shuffle there, Larry, because iRacing, when they lined them up, was set our pole sitter on the outside of the row. And so all the GT3 cars had to move over from left to right and vice versa or something like that. But they will get the green flag soon after our GTP racers do. They are the GT3 racers. We do have a real live starter for these races, and our race stewards and starters are provided by the SCCA Foundation. The SCCA Foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. Visit SCCA Foundation for more information. And so, again, with that real-live starter, Larry, once our racers come into the start zone, which begins just right around where the pit-in area is, they will be able to start accelerating. Our starter will then at one point give the start command. There is no passing, however, until our racers get to the start finish line on the front straight. And so now pace car is on the pit lane for our GTP racers, and that acceleration zone has now started as our racers now come around the final corner through Misano, turn number 16, onto the front straight, waiting for the start command. And it is a green flag, and we are racing here at the Misano World Circuit, Larry, as our racers now barrel down into turn number 1, this big chicane here, the Variante del Parco. As they come through, it is Petrowski in the lead, Harris, Nicky Chan sliding in the third, Ryan Reisman, Elias Alabi, and Aaron Beaver rounding out the 6 cars in GTP that took the green flag. And now our GT3 racers, they get the green flag on the front straight, and here they come as they start to make their way down into turn number 1.
Yeah, the start there from Petrowski, solid, able to hold the lead. You can watch this pace. He's already pulling out a couple of car lengths there in the GT3s.
And let's take a look at GT3. It is Leo Dragotta with Ken Copeland sliding in the second. Brian Bennett, Travis Schwenke, Elias Speaker, our GT3 AM leader, now sitting back in 5th position with Jeff Brooks in his Audi. Right behind him, Avon Dorsey. Then back behind him, Dorsey running second in AM. Adam Ballard, Stacy Bertrand, Keith Stein. I think rounds out the top 10 in GT3 here early on.
Yeah, good start there for Dragotta, the pole sitter there. Copeland also able to kind of get away. Let's see how long this takes before we start seeing some fighting, and how long before we start to see some little bit of battles going on. Right now, just a single file train as they head down some of these wide straightaways. You talked about introducing the track, how wide the place is around here. Really
yeah, exactly. And obviously you can see that this is a circuit, Larry, that was built primarily for motorcycles. If there's anything that can tell you that, it is how wide and how large and expansive these gravel traps are outside of every single corner, that they are there just trying to gobble up any racers so that they don't impact anything that hard. As our GT3 field now coming out of the final corner and completing lap number 1, and it is Dragotta, it's Copeland, Travis Schwenke third, Ilya Speaker gets around Brian Bennett, so moves Speaker up to 4th in GT3, 4th in GT3, 1st in AM, then Brian Bennett's behind him, Jeff Brooks. Avon Dorsey now has 2 pro racers between he and AM leader Speaker, and he's got Adam Ballard directly behind in his Rockefeller Racing Porsche.
Yeah, a couple of those teammates there between Ballard, and I think that right in front of him should be Dorsey in one of the Porsches. See, and I know we don't have our graphics going out right now. Apologize for that. But I think we do have at least the audio, so you can hear us talking about this as the the 2 Rockefeller Racing entries are kind of sticking together, but they have fallen back a little bit from Jeff Brooks and Brian Bennett, who are actually in the middle of a pass going on right now, where Brooks has gotten around Bennett, now trying to keep up with Ilya Speaker out in front of him.
Oh, we just had a driver go off run wide. I think that was Stacy Bertrand off into the gravel trap. And so Bertrand is going to drop a number of places. They're now sitting, I believe, 6th in AM, which would put them about, I think, 15th in GT3 as they dropped, again, a number of, I think, 5 positions. And we'll get back to some of our GT3 or GTP racing here in just a few moments as we're working through some technical issues here. Apologize for that.
I'm going to follow on with myself here. A little bit of what Ilya Speaker's doing is he's under pressure right now from Jeff Brooks. Brooks is the pro driver behind Speaker, the leader in AM. Jeff would love to catch up with Dragota, Copeland, and Schwenke, who are out in front of here by about a second and a half. A lot of pressure now from Brooks to try and get around Speaker. Brooks in the Audi, Speaker in the Porsche. Right now just trying to do what he can. And there's been contact now as Speaker goes around. Contact might have been behind from Brooks.
Yes. And we can see there, yeah, I was just going to say, Brooks got into the nose of Speaker as they were both at a standstill there. And Speaker is just having to sit and wait as everybody drives by.
Yeah, that was some tough racing there for a moment. I don't know if it was contact before or maybe because of a spin, but certainly there was a spin and then there was some contact.
All right, well, we may be able to pull that up, and we'll see if we can, just as we were getting our systems back up and running here. And here we go. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened to Ilya Speaker as he comes right across the nose of Brooks. And
had some help.
Yeah, looks like Brooks in the Audi got right into the back of them as they came around.
A little bit of a rub in all the wrong places, and that's going to cause Speaker to go around. Speaker cannot be happy about that. Again, he was leading AM. Now he finds himself at the back of the pack. 16
in a 16-car AM field, that is. And as we've said before, Larry, that when we assign points at the end of a race, it is based on your overall position in GT3, not on whether it's pro or AM. So Speaker, he's going to have to be on one heck of a recovery drive.
And to put this in perspective, not only was Speaker the fastest of the AM drivers already there on row 3, I think it was, he's also coming into tonight again as the points leader in AM, ahead of Avon Dorsey, ahead of Ian Patience. A little more than 10 points there between he and his rivals stand behind. But this is huge, though, for those guys to maybe have his opportunity. Certainly for Dorsey right now, who's got the lead in AM, he would be the one to watch.
All right, let's do this, Larry. Let's see if we can peek in with our GTP racers, if we can here. We'll see if we can jump over to them. But okay, John, can we jump over to GTP for a moment? All right, there we go. And so this is, and he's flashing his headlights already, Larry. This is Bailey Petrowski, who is already starting to make his way through the back of the GTP field already. And we are currently working lap number 5. He has a 4-second advantage over Milan Harris and the rest of the GTP field. He qualified almost a second and a half faster than the rest of the field.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on him because of that pace. He may have quite an advantage. If you get into traffic and anything could happen, we know that he had contact at the end of the Laguna Seca race that cost him his finish. But remember also his teammate / rival, Paulie Louis Grant, is not here tonight. Neither is Tanner Dibble. So the top 2 who came into the points are not here. Dibble had 2 second-place finishes in those 2 rounds. Paulie Louis was a 3rd place in the opening round and then got the win there at Laguna Seca. Petrowski had the win.
Jeff Brooks is coming down the pit lane right now, Larry. He is serving a drive-through penalty for the incident with Ilya Speaker just a few moments before.
Yeah, and as we saw in replay, that's appropriate. As there was definitely some contact. He did cause a spin. I'll wonder if he actually comes out near Speaker or if he'll actually still be ahead of Speaker.
He's already behind Speaker at this point. As the entire GT3 field. It is, I believe, a 45 mile per hour or 50 mile per hour speed limit down the pit lane, and it is a brutally long pit lane here at Misano.
Yeah. All right, so we're looking at right now at Stacy Bertrand, of course, the teammates to Speaker in that Rockefeller Racing. Right behind him is Stephen May in that yellow Ferrari. And then they are about 2 seconds back from Josh Fidel. So May and Bertrand are currently fighting for 7th in AM. It's about 15th overall in the GT3 ranks. Board here with Stephen May. You can see how tough this place can be to pass. There's some straightaways. They're not the longest. So we're going to see if May gets feisty as one of the GTPs goes down the inside.
Yeah, and that was through, I think, the highest speed corner here, Larry. That was over turn 11, and you saw there where Bertrand had to make a last second adjustment with the Porsche just as that GTP car was about to come underneath them.
That might have been Nikki Chan, and I think Eliza Lobby is the one that's just around them right now as we flash back to our leaders in GT3, Leo Dragotta and Ken Copeland. Under pressure is Dragotta in the Orion entry. The wrong stuff with Ken Copeland doing all he can now to force Dragotta to use his tires, force him to really push that car around. Perhaps it's an advantage in the longer race here for the Mercedes is to force the Porsche to use them up.
And here they're coming down into the hairpin over at turn number 8. Garcia, and then they're going to have a short run to another hairpin down here at turns 9 and maybe I don't call this a hairpin, but a double apex right-hander. The second part of it definitely much like a hairpin over at turn 10.
A decreasing radius hairpin. It's got kind of a wide angled entry, and then you do have to get down to a pretty slow apex speed as they head down to the high-speed kink. A couple little kinks as they go down into turn 13. This place definitely got some high-speed stuff down this end.
Yeah, and then you almost immediately have to get down to here, which is, I think, for these cars, a third-gear corner as you get ready to wrap up the lap.
Might have been a second gear there on board for a second in the Mercedes. Copeland, I think I could see it on his dash. There's your leader Petrowski then getting through the leaders in GT3.
Yeah, and we can expect Petrowski at the rate he's going. Originally, Larry, we were thinking that the GTP cars would get somewhere around 53 laps, about 7 to 8 laps more than the GT3 cars do. At the pace Petrowski's going, it might be a bit more than that, we'll have to see.
See what kind of strategy he has, or we talked to him earlier in the season that he was just going to go out and put his head down and just learn tracks, race strategy to be consistent. He got some bad luck there at the end of Laguna Seca, but he was executing that pretty well there. We know that in the opening round he did a pretty good job as well, just keeping his nose clean but doing it quickly. He was very efficient, so to speak, when it came to passing lapped cars, and he's showing some of that again.
All right, let's take a look here. This is Robert Hartley. He's got the Rockefeller Racing machine of the Mercedes of Keith Stein, the Canadian Keith, right ahead of him. Keith is currently running 3rd in AM, Hartley running 5th in Pro. As they are, this is, you see how difficult this is, especially with some of these slower corners, Larry, as they have to let some of the GTP traffic through, and that allows David Steiner and Jennifer McDonald to come right up back behind Robert Hartley. Steiner's in the AM. McDonald, that would be a battle for position with Hartley. Jennifer McDonald currently in that number 99 BMW. Oh my gosh, I can't tell what I'm saying tonight. She is currently running 6th in Pro. And you saw what the closing speed there was, just as that one GTP car slotted underneath Hartley and Stein, and the two BMWs just came up with maybe a 20-mile-per-hour speed differential.
Yeah, this is certainly kind of an accordion in the making going on right now. As Stein and Hartley taking things a little bit differently. Steiner's got to show in this in his BMW a little bit of patience, and then Jennifer McDonald may have to do the same thing. Although if one of these two starts to force the issue, like he could, that could really shake things up quickly, because suddenly you would have just a scattering of cars going everywhere. We'll see who decides to make the first move.
And so the one thing you can see here, Larry, is and you talk about a bit of an accordion effect. Steiner has been, as we've been watching the sequence, quite a bit later on the brakes than Robert Hartley has, pretty much all the way around this circuit. And I don't know how well that's going to work for the two of them, because I mean, all it takes is for him to be a couple feet deeper on the brakes, and he's going to get right into the back of the Porsche.
Steiner looks more confident on the track right now than Hartley does. Hartley, in following the Mercedes up in front of him of Pete Stein, Hartley just doesn't look like he knows where a good spot to be. Where if you watch Steiner, you watch the body language of that car, he looks like he knows exactly where he wants to make the pass. The problem is there's two cars now in front of him, and he can't pass.
He can't do it. Yeah.
He's really, that's the late braking, that's the crisp late apexes. Look at this, you can tell he's on the gas earlier here.
Yes.
Just doesn't know where to go. He may be the one who decides to shove it down the inside or even outside of Hartley, as Hartley may finally have a nose somewhere. Nope, he's just looking defensive.
Yep, and there's
that was
the
almost
tap.
contact.
Good old spectacular, I assume.
It just might. Yeah, now you can see Steiner's backed off just a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe let Hartley try to make a move on Stein. Stein doing a good job doing his best Jeff Jacobs impression here of just keeping the car wide. Don't give any opportunities. Even there you can see Hartley thought maybe for a second he's going to be able to outbrake him, but
Yeah, briefly, and almost as quickly as he gave it a thought, he got back in line. Yeah.
yeah. Now behind them, there might be a group coming. Behind them is Lucas Tragoda, Charlie Hosea, and Jeff Jacobs. You can see them. There they are. They just might be trying to close this up as well, as they're about 5 seconds back. But
Yeah, and running fairly similar lap times within
Yeah.
within around 0.2 of a second or so.
yeah, so the group up in front decides to shuffle a little bit, and one tries to nosedive in. They will quickly lose that 5 seconds, and this group will get there. As Jacobs now might be trying to make a move on Hosea. Nope, Hosea seeing his BMW able to get ahead while Lucas continues to lay laps down and try and open up a couple car lanes.
And so Lucas currently running 5th in AM. Both Hosea and Jacobs in our pro class, with Hosea running 7th, Jacobs running 8th. Hey, look!
Good.
Backmarker Bob's awake, Larry.
All right.
Look who joined us in the chat.
Bobby Childs, the one, the only, the infamous. Decided to wake up.
Saved
We've
himself
got a
about
good
$15.
battle.
Yeah.
A good battle to wake up to, of course, is this Caffrey and Rocco. Look at that move for Caffrey,
What
shoving
a
it
late
down the
move. Now, Larry, that was the move, the late braking maneuver that we were expecting from Caffrey when he showed up, or probably didn't show up for his interviews.
He was too busy practicing the late braking moves he was going to
Yes.
have to make on the Rocco Rockefeller Racing entry there. But Caffrey now ahead. We'll see if he's able to do something with that margin. So he's taken over 9th spot in the AM class. Still about 4 seconds back, though, from Stephen May, who's in that battle with Stacey Bertrand. You'll see the tail end of that battle right there at the next corner in front of this group. Now, at just a couple seconds back from this battle of Caffrey and Rocco, you got Greg Brockway, John Casey, and Ilya Speaker
trying to come back after that that
Yeah.
early spin.
So he's got a couple of passes in. His next pair will be Brockway and Casey. Then he'll be looking at that Caffrey-Rocco battle and see what he can do, as Brockway and Casey look like
Brockway almost ended up in one of those motorcycle gravel traps, and I don't know if he got a slowdown penalty, but we saw him. Took a while for him to gather the car back up. His teammate Casey got around, as did Ilya Speaker.
See if Speaker can get the other Frito Sport entry here on the next couple of corners, while Milan Harris comes on through in the GTP. The Rockefeller Racing entries there. There is Harris, currently running second, 3 seconds back. The gap to Petrowski isn't growing like I thought maybe it would.
No,
Harris
and a
doing a
couple
good job
laps
traffic.
ago, Harris had knocked about a second off of the gap, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of this is owing to the traffic.
Sure, but it means he's doing traffic efficiently like Petrowski is.
Right.
And there you can see that ups and downs that are going on there. Harris, the last 2 laps, having an advantage. Petrowski maybe taking his time a little bit too much with some of these cars in traffic.
Yeah, meanwhile, the gap that Milan Harris now has opened up on Nikki Chan, who's running 3rd in GTP. You can see there on the timing tower on the left-hand side of your screen. She is now about 15 seconds back from Harris, 19 seconds, almost 20 seconds off of the lead. And pretty decent sized gap there. 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds for our 4th and 5th place drivers as well.
This is our lead pack here in GT3 is still remains Dragotta over Copeland. And what do you think? Think Copeland's just at this point conserving fuel?
I think he's conserving fuel, and if you saw that little wiggle there from Leo Dragotta, he may just be waiting until, well, I was gonna say waiting until the tires start to run down. Now the thing is here on as far as pit stops go, likely is most of our GT3 drivers, we think they can get probably somewhere around 29 laps. You see the rear end stepping out again on Dragotta. They can probably get about 29 laps worth of fuel out of a stint here. And so if they come down the pit lane, they should be able to change, Larry, all 4 tires during the fueling process. So, you know, it's a question of whether Leo Dragotta can make the tires last 29 laps or not.
Yeah, that could be interesting, and that may be what Copeland's doing here, is just kind of being patient back there and conserving his car. I wonder if he can save 15 minutes or 20 minutes worth of fuel. We've seen that before. Trying to do it on zero
From Ken
stops.
Copeland in particular, yes, we have.
Yeah. So if anybody's willing to try it, it might be Ken, and this is the way you do it. Is you just sort of hide in behind somebody else, catch a little draft here and there, do a little bit of lift and coast, and see what happens. I don't know if he'll try it. This is the track you can do it, as there are a lot of digs and a lot of places where you may have to use up some fuel. But as we flash back to the battle in AM, I don't know if it's much of a battle between teammates, but it is the battle of the leaders in AM.
You know, Avon Dorsey and Adam Ballard, both from Rockefeller Racing, both in their Porsche, or probably one in the Porsche, one in the Lamborghini.
And again, suddenly I'm hungry for Oreo cookie ice cream. Maybe an ice cream sandwich.
It's a lot of dairy, Larry.
It is. It's the black and white cookie. How's that? A little one better than the one that Seinfeld had. As your leader, Petrowski, now is coming through the pack here between our 2 AM leaders.
Yeah, Larry, let's jump over. It looks like Michael Caffrey, the 66 Mercedes, might have had an issue here coming into the chicane at turn 1.
And I think I can see why. I think that GTP car may have done a little disappearing act.
Yeah, so yeah, and I noticed this a couple laps ago. That was Nikki Chan in the 010 Porsche 963. She has been blinking in and out, having some internet connectivity issues here.
Yeah, that one was unfortunately timed if you're Michael Caffrey. So what that's done to Caffrey now is it's put him right next to the points leader in AM, Ilya Speaker. Of course, had that opening lap issues. Speaker now trying to get around Caffrey.
As Caffrey had Nikki Chan blink in and out right in front of him again
there she
a couple corners ago.
That is tough. Now, the sim gives you about a second or so, and then if it does reappear in you, it's not supposed to give you contact, but if it's close and then suddenly it blinks, you're not sure which way the other car's going to go, it'll make contact like that. Because if you're Nikki Chan, nothing changes to you except everyone else disappears, but you keep driving and you know exactly where your car is, but everyone else, the relative, is what becomes the problem. So Speaker here would love to get past Caffrey, and maybe even if he has to then pull Caffrey with him to catch up to the pack, he'd do it. Would not be surprised if Speaker does an early pit stop here very soon once that window's open. Pushing it.
That looked like an opportunity for him, but again, the one place on the track.
There's a car up left. That's Chan again. That's the GTP at Chan again, off track left. Gonna right
Run away,
alongside.
run away.
I can see in the mirror there if you're a speaker.
And there she goes again to the netherworld.
There she is, doing her best David Copperfield impression. Is he Canadian too? Suddenly the Googles are in action. Well, speaker there. He's gotten around Caffrey. 7 seconds up the road is the yellow Ferrari of Stephen May. A little bit. We'll check in with speaker maybe in a little bit. There's Jeff Brooks, of course, who was involved in that opening lap incident with speaker. He's also on a recovery drive, and he's right behind Michael Caffrey at about 2 seconds back from speaker. So he's also trying to do the same thing that Ilya is doing.
So Larry, I'm not sure if David Copperfield is Canadian, but I know something that he might be.
Maybe we'll just leave his name out of
Yeah.
the news for a little bit. A Doug Henning, how that would
Yeah, I think Doug Henning would be a better choice.
David Blaine, isn't he Canadian?
Yeah, I believe David Blaine is. And there's a David Blaine in SCCA road racing as well. I always thought that was very funny.
Always disappearing.
Yes, as a matter of fact, very much so. usually find him in a gravel trap, though. Oddly enough. All right, this is again. We were watching before. We were watching Steiner and McDonald, the two BMWs. Jennifer McDonald is dispatched with David Steiner, and now she is right up to the back of Canadian Keith Stein from Rockefeller Racing in that Mercedes. Stein is currently running third in AM, McDonald sixth in Pro, and Robert Hartley, who was right back behind Adam. I was about to say Keith Ballard, Adam Ballard. A few moments ago, they have managed to move up the road. And although there we just saw just at the front end of that shot where Robert Hartley all by himself right now, he is no longer able to keep up with Adam Ballard. Nikki Chan, and is that Nikki Chan in that shot again, or is that another one of our GTP racers? Yeah.
Well, the incident between Chan and the 66 Caffrey was looked at. No action.
That's not surprising.
Yeah. No action required. It was just sort of an unfortunate incident, so we'll let that one go. But the longer her connection struggles, maybe she may have to reset for next week, as we've got a Rockefeller Racing GTP going past a couple Rockefeller Racing GT3s.
Yeah, and Beaver almost got right into the back of the Lamborghini there, as now he appears to be having some connectivity issues.
And confirmed, Doug Henning is the only well-known Canadian magician. Just giving you that update there. Oh. Even David Blaine is a New Yorker.
Doug Henning of the curly 70s perm hair. Oh,
yep.
Love it. Yep.
Looked a little bit like Gallagher.
Yes, very. Yeah. minus
we
the
have really
minus
we
the
have really
watermelons
deviated
and
from
the
motorsports
sledgehammer.
here.
Yeah.
We are far off topic. All right, so back to the action.
And a heck of a mustache too, by the way.
He did, world class. All right, so back to our action here, as there's your leader Bailey Petrowski, doing what he's doing, and he's up by a little bit. It's about 6 seconds now on Harris. There's Caffrey seems to be in every camera shot tonight. There's Petrowski going by that yellow Mercedes. The onboard's great here. Shows you how much of the curbing and those extra paved areas you need to use to be fast around here. good job of really timing those exits and then using the horsepower of the GTP car to get by these GT3s. And using all of the curves. You can see how much more of that he used than Speaker did in the 86 Rockefeller Racing Porsche.
Yeah, and you can see there in that that complex, and I think we saw it during Kevin Ford's track guide as well. Really stays away from using the apex, the first apex in that that little section there, so that you can square off the second part, really get the car straightened up and put the power down at the end. I guess not unlike at VIR, where you have the turns 10 and 11 complex going to. Got the two teammates once again, John Casey and Greg Brockway, battling it out. It looks like Brockway's managed to get back around John Casey after that off that we saw a couple of laps ago.
They're building Ferraris there, battling for 12. And just ahead of them, you can see another one of the Rockefeller. That is the Rockefeller. That is Rocky Rocco. There he is in the 647 entry. See if the two Frito Sports can catch up to
Rocky Road.
Rocky,
yeah.
But Rocky has been running pretty quick. But the last couple laps, I think Brockway and Casey are getting closer. There you can see Brockway almost one corner or two corners away from being up under the back of that Porsche.
All right, let's jump back to Keith Stein, the 48 Mercedes, and there is Jennifer McDonald still trying to find her way around that Mercedes, and Stein still running third in AM, McDonald sixth in Pro, with Robert Hartley fifth in Pro up ahead, but he's really started to open up the gap now. Gap about 3 seconds up from this duo.
Yeah, Jennifer was able to get around David Steiner a little bit ago, so that helps her there. Stein, one of the AM entries, Jennifer, one of the Pro entries, so she'd like to get by and pick up a couple of those points, then maybe have a shot to start looking at Robert Hartley a little bit further up the road. She's been matching pace with Hartley for the last couple laps, but she'd like to close that gap before we get to our pit stop window, which should be opening up any time now.
Yeah, the pit window for the GT3 car is opening up somewhere around lap 17, so we're actually already in it, Larry.
Yep.
Here, and for the GTP cars, should have opened up somewhere right around lap 18 for them, so we're already about 3 laps into the window now.
And
here we go, starting to have some cars come in. This is Jeff Jacobs.
So one of them has decided to come in. Look how slow that pit lane exited.
Well, that's the exit there, and the exit brings you all the way down, Larry, to the exit of that turn 1 and 2 chicane. Brings you right into the right-hander.
It's a little bit, yeah, if you're watching in Formula One, it's a little bit how the Canadian Grand Prix circuit Gilles Villeneuve dumps you out, also mapped in iRacing. And it's about the same way. There's a chicane you come into, and it dumps you out right there at the exit of those chicanes. A little drier here in Misano than it was in Montreal over the weekend.
Although, Larry, now that we have rain in iRacing and it's available for all the GT3 cars, I'm just waiting for that spot shower to come down.
It could. I, however, spent last weekend in Maine, where a lot like Montreal, it was really wet. I don't need any more showers. I am happy to be dry. Jeff Jacobs, in fact, we got on camera. He was there with me. It was a miserably wet day on Sunday up there in Maine. As beautiful as Maine is, and it really is, boy, you throw down a few gallons of water and things change quickly.
It changes considerably. Whereas I was at Summit Point Raceway for, I think, my very first dry event of the year. Actually, it didn't rain at Watkins Glen 2 weeks ago either, so. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We haven't heard anything from the organizers whether or not we're going to have any rain this season here. Has it been enabled for the LMP for the GTP cars? I believe it has.
I think it is now for the new season, for the season 3.
Yeah, season
of
iRacing season 3.
Yep. We'll have to check in with Jeff and Kevin to see when they're going to bring that into the Brick Tech series. But as we keep flashing around, there's a speaker. We're talking about his moving through the field. He's done it again. He's gotten around Stephen May. He's now just a little bit behind Stacy Bertrand for Speaker, now up to 8th in AM, which puts him 15th in the overall in the GT3s. He's about 30 seconds back of Avon Dorsey and Adam Ballard battling in the front there for the AM leadership. The Speaker on a recovery here. Doing quite well.
Yeah, and I can tell you with all certainty, Larry, right now, all of our racers on dry weather tires.
Accurate statement.
Yes, no intermediates in the house. All right,
Folks, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. He can determine that they're on dry tires.
USDK lifetime. All right. I keep looking at the Stephen Mays Ferrari out that until it blinked out.
There you go.
And it's the is that British Racing green? I mean, it reminds me of a Lotus at that point.
Yeah,
with the color scheme there.
a little bit.
Jonathan says it's like the old Harrods McLaren.
It does, yeah. Well, Jeff Brooks is getting a good look at all sides of it as he had shoved the nose down on the one side of Steven, and this looks nice. And he went and looked at the other side of the car like he is now. It looks good too. At some point, he would love to look at the hood.
Yeah, well,
he may be trying that right now.
I guess technically he was looking at the hood of Ilya Speaker's car. Right?
Well, he now might be able to check his mirrors and be able to see the front of the paint job in that Ferrari as he's now gotten his way on by Brooks, now up still in 6th in the Pro, but now he's gotten past one more AM driver.
And look at this.
Return the favor and ouch. That is
Ow.
full-on contact. And for Brooks, that is going to send him sideways. Parts are flying. May have gotten a little bit aggressive there.
Yeah, I would say it was definitely a very late lunge. Let's take a look and see what happened.
All right, so there's May, the trailing car. Brooks coming off the next corner.
He comes from a long way back, Larry.
that is
and it's not only a long way back, but he was about 2.5 car widths off. There's no way that Brooks would have been able to see him in the mirrors.
Something vortex something, but
yes,
yeah, that's a little bit further back. We'll see if the stewards.
Thank you, Randy Popes.
We'll see if the stewards have something to say about that. You can see the damage also done there to the front of May's car. Brooks, yeah, I don't know if he had damage or not, but I'm sure he's not thrilled about it.
Well, and he's coming down the pit lane now, so either we're going to see him taking some repairs, or he's just now figuring, might as well take my fuel stop.
Yeah, rough night there for the Brooks brothers there in the Wrong Stuff Racing.
All right, let's do this, Larry. Although I have a feeling our drivers are probably going to start as soon as we take our break. Let's take a break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag where you're watching the Extreme Motorsports Rick Mottek World Challenge. We'll be right back.
Rick Mottek, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Rick Mottek has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, rickmotec.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
And welcome back to Season 10 of the Ricmotech World Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Butt Kicker. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, I also want to once again thank the great folks at Butt Kicker, who are going to be presenting at our season-ending ceremonies with one driver with a Butt Kicker Gamer Plus package valued at $280. And if you want to turn up the immersion in your sim rig, visit thebuttkicker.com where you can get more information. So, Larry, as we went to break, as we kind of expected, Stephen May was given a drive-through penalty for that incident with Jeff Brooks, and maybe because Jeff just didn't want to look at May, he drove out of the pit lane, back out on track just as the Ferrari driver was coming down to serve that penalty.
Oh well, we got a David Steiner right there. I think that may have been Jeff McDonald going into the pits there. It was right next to her for a moment, and there she is going down the pit lane in her BMW. Steiner staying on track in his. So McDonald, one of the earlier stoppers. Jeff Jacobs already has been in, I think.
Rocky Rocco has been in. Russ Ruddick has been in as well.
Brooks was in for about 2.5 minutes.
And Hartley's been in. And that's on the GT3 side. On the GTP side, Nikki Chan, and I don't know if she drove down the pit lane or if she just blinked out and reappeared on the pit lane like Doug Henning. But we're showing her as having taken a pit stop as well.
It's only an illusion.
That's right.
All right, so there we've got the battle in the lead of the AM drivers. Still Avon Dorsey, Adam Ballard, the two teammates there between the Lamborghini and the Porsche. Dorsey's still with that advantage, but pit stops are coming. We'll see if perhaps Ballard left a little bit in the tank there to be able to maybe run a few extra laps, maybe cut down his pit time. We'll see what kind of strategy Ballard's got here on this pit time. It's coming up soon as we're approaching the 41st minute of this race. Again, coming into the night tonight, Ilya Speaker had the points lead in AM. Avon Dorsey, currently leading in AM, was second. Adam Ballard was fourth coming into tonight, but about 20 some odd points, about 25 points back from Dorsey. So Ballard needs this probably more than anybody. He was third in the opening round, but 12th in the last round. It's got to put him where he's at as Keith Stein makes it. And another Rockefeller Racing entry.
Yep, and here comes Keith Stein down the pit lane, and Larry, I'm not 100% sure this. I'm showing a crash by Stephen May. Don't know if that. Let's see if that was accurate or not. Oh, he's out there on track. He might have maybe just had a quick off. Ilya Speaker now, who was our pole sitter in GT3 AM, had that early incident. He is down the pit lane now, looking to get some fuel, likely get some tires. There you go. Car up on the jacks.
It's not a surprise to me. I think when you're in this position of on a recovery drive, you take an opportunity for pits. You don't worry about maybe if you're leading. Often you'll go down to your tank is empty and then come on in. Right. When you're working your way through, you start to hit some rough patches of traffic. You just got to get in there, take your opportunity, and get out. And not waste too much time behind in traffic. Speaking of behind in traffic, there's Jeff Jacobs trying to get around Andre Wedderburn. Wedderburn in the red Porsche. Jacobs, of course, has already made his stop. I don't think Wedderburn has.
Wedderburn has not made a stop yet, and Wedderburn currently sitting 12th in AM, Jacobs 8th in Pro.
Wedderburn, that Porsche looks a little more wrinkled, I think, than when we started this race. The back of that car has got just a bit of a buckling across that All Speed logo. Jeff Jacobs not trying to straighten it out. He's certainly just looking for a way past.
Body shop man, Jeff Jacobs.
He's got a little bit of a draft. I don't know if it's enough. He's going to at least force Wedderburn to the inside. Take a tight line here on the left-hander.
And see if he
Maybe
can
go
come
around the
underneath
outside.
him in the second half. And nope, Jacobs is going to go all the way around the outside. And can he get up alongside here?
He would have had to force it. We've already seen how that turns out. Not
Yeah,
good.
at this very corner, exactly,
Yep.
at this hairpin.
But he was able to force a little bit of a bad line, maybe get a good exit. We'll check in later as Aaron Beaver has pit and is re-entered.
And he's going to rejoin in 5th position. Look at this, Larry. As they have been from the very start of the race, from the drop of the green flag, Leo Dragotta, your leader in pro from Orion Racing, Ken Copeland from the Wrong Stuff, and starting to see Copeland maybe get a little bit more aggressive here, and
Perhaps.
maybe just as the fuel is starting to burn off a little bit here, Larry, maybe he figures he can.
I wonder if what he's trying to do is to force Dragotta to use some tires.
Yeah.
I think the Porsches, at least in the past, they have been known to be a little rougher on front tires
On
than
the
some of
fronts.
the others. If they're still that way, he would know it. As down the pit lane comes Ryan Reisman, pitting in
And
from
Travis
fourth.
Schwenke right behind him, and
I
Schwenke
think-
almost got right into the rear of Reisman as they came off track.
Yeah.
Schwenke had to really check up there as he was carrying a little bit more speed before the cones.
I think
He
Off the
returns. Schwenke
it's
currently
slow.
showing 4th in pro.
that slow pit lane. Well, he may have a Lucas Dragotta right alongside him when he comes out here. Lucas, of course, will be in that Dragon Sport Racing Porsche. There it is. Right there near Travis. Travis a couple seconds back now. As that pit lane just seems to go on for eternity. Yeah, there you can see Travis. So Lucas here running up into 4th in the AM category. Big chunk of time, though, back from your top 3 of Dorsey, Ballard, and Steiner. Those guys all within 5 seconds of each other. And then you've got this 20-second gap to Lucas. Has done a good job managing the car, but yes,
All
more
right,
pits
Greg
are coming.
Brockway coming down the pit lane now. Jason Burmeister in his Audi coming down the pit lane, and John Casey. Two Frito Sport teammates coming down together.
checked
Brian
in.
Bennett in the Sector 5 Audi coming down as well.
I don't think we had a chance to see Brian there, but good shot seeing him coming down pit lane.
Brian was running 3rd in pro at
Yeah.
the time he came in.
Running very well. Of course, the leader battle was so good we kept checking in there, but Bennett definitely a player in this race, hitting from 3rd.
All right, back to Robert Hartley with Michael Caffrey behind. Hartley currently running 6th in pro, and Caffrey 7th in AM. And speaking about the next one up the road in pro, Charlie Hosea, he comes down the pit lane now in the number 100 BMW.
Yeah, we're down to about the last 5 or 6 that haven't pit at this point. Bailey Petrowski, Milan Harris, your top 2. I don't think they pit from GTPs.
And a lot of the GT3 racers up front haven't yet
Right, like
either.
Dragotta, Copeland, Dorsey, Ballard, all still pending.
Yep,
Both
and,
Dragottas, in fact, have not yet stopped.
Exactly. All right, looks like Michael Caffrey now pitting in the number 66 Mercedes, and he's back underway. And he'll be on track in about 4.5 minutes.
Well, if it takes them too long, there'll be an Ilya Speaker coming along
Yes.
as he's
Don't know-
closing quickly. Because Speakers probably just went by, in fact, and so did Jeff Jacobs.
Yes,
That's how
and Jeff
look
Jacobs did
how
as
long
well.
this long pit lane that is still pit speed limited. Look how long that is. That is just
And there's the
crazy.
green cone where you can start accelerating.
Yeah. So as expected, Speaker and Jacobs both went by. Speaker now trying to work up onto Charlie Hosea. while Michael Caffrey, it comes out in an open area, no traffic. The traffic's going to be that right there, that GTP car going on by him. He's going on pit lane
and
again.
Lucas Dragotta runs deep
no.
into his box, has to back the car up. He was running third in pro, or probably third in AM, and this is going to possibly affect when his position when he comes out.
Yeah, he didn't have much for the fight for the top guys in AM, but he certainly had a battle coming up from behind him. So we'll see if the likes of Stein and the others are able to kind of close up a little bit on Lucas with that mistake there in the pits.
All right, and
Dragotta.
Lucas's former teammate, Leo Dragotta, comes down the pit lane now from the lead. Ken Copeland, he's staying out, Larry. And Copeland now working lap number 31. And, well, that's about 2 laps further than we anticipated the pit window being for the GT3 cars.
And I'm not surprised that that Copeland stays out. I fully suspect that he had saved all the fuel he could save. I don't know if he can go 25 more minutes, but he can go a couple more laps. And if he can watch his lap times, we'll see what they do. The last lap for these guys was a 1:36.8. Quickest of the race was a 1:36.0. Let's keep an eye on Copeland's lap here, as he's now traffic free. So Leo Dragotta's gotten his way back out of the pits. He's about 30 seconds back. That's about the delta. Let's see if Copeland can lay down a good flying lap or two and maybe make the pass in the pits.
And look at that, Larry, as he came back out still with an 11-second advantage over Travis Schwenke. So he maintains second position.
Yeah, Leo just loving, I think, this Porsche. I would suspect this is one of his favorite cars. It's him. We've seen in the other races that we do and that he joins in the sports car series, he's not quite as dominant as he is when he gets into one of these GT3 Porsches. Copeland just sending that Mercedes around.
And
That
lap time
lap-
for Ken Copeland at 36.55, so about a half second off of his best.
And about a half a second faster than what he had been running, I think, trailing behind Leo Dragotta as Milan Harris pits from second.
All right, so we'll pull up here some pit times. We can see how long Milan Harris sits in his pit stall. He has, at this point, Larry, almost a full minute up on Elias Halabi. So we'll see here as he comes back out. And Halabi's pulling down the pit lane now. So that looks like that equation is one that this math-addled man will not have to work on. And Bailey Petrowski now pitting in from the lead.
Almost an entire lap ahead of Elias Halabi. Shows you Petrowski's pace tonight. He's just finishing lap 36, and Elias Halabi just starting lap 36. And I'm looking down the sheet here. The only car that hasn't stopped, Ken Copeland.
Ken Copeland. And that, Larry, is no longer an accurate statement as Ken Copeland comes down the pit lane, pits in from the lead in GT3 Pro.
I'll step out on that limb and say I think that was enough to come out of this race in front of Leo Dragotta.
Yeah.
We'll see, because I didn't see Ken with any traffic on that lap. I don't know
No,
that Dragotta
other
did
than a
either.
couple of GTP cars, which made
did a
it
good
back
job.
around him with little drama.
Yeah, so we'll see if Ken has his fuel load down to a perfect calculation. See if he can hold it at that speed limiter perfectly as he goes all the way down the mile-and-a-half run or whatever it is to the end of the Armco barrier there. See how close this is. Remember, Dragotta had the advantage when they came into the pits by a car
Let's
length.
see, because Leo's coming out of the final corner onto the front straight now. Remember, the rejoined point is just after this chicane.
And it's maybe.
It's going to be close, Larry.
It's going to be real close. There it is.
And Ken Copeland is your new leader, Larry. Now, he's on cold tires.
He is.
This might be the opportunity for Leo Dragota to get around the Mercedes, as he's got a couple laps of heat worth in those tires.
Yeah, great opportunity
worth it.
there. But like you said, now he's got to work, and Dragota knows this is his best chance. Right here, look at the light flashing there as well. Young Leo forcing the issue, maybe around the outside, tuck to the inside. Not there. Leo needs to get aggressive. This is his best chance. Or if not now, it's got to be with traffic later on. Look at now, he's going to try to the outside, forcing Copeland to maybe a bad exit. Is it enough for Leo? He's going to get a bit of a run. He's trying. He's got a little bit of draft. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. The legs of the Mercedes are pretty strong.
Wow, and look how fast that Mercedes came through 11, Larry, and sets up here for 13. They're going to come down to the hairpin at 14.
The brakes in the Porsche are spectacular. It looks like even the Porsche is a little quicker through some of the medium speed stuff and even getting through the hairpins. Once the legs are stretched, that Mercedes it just goes. And now he's just trying to occupy space and keep Leo behind.
Exactly. All right, so here we are on the longest straight. This is going to bring us down into that chicane.
Yeah, it's almost like Dragota's running more downforce than Copeland is. The car just looks more nimble.
And Copeland's car, Copeland should have the tires up to temp now.
Yeah.
I would suspect they're pretty close.
That may have been a bit of an aggressive dive there from Dragota. He probably could have been a little later on that apex, but the car is, look how much faster he takes that kink. The car is quicker in spots. It's just not on the straightaways. Oh, this could be good. This could be 20 minutes of just dogfight here.
Exactly. And Copeland's, at least early on in this stint, he's been doing a pretty darn good job of car positioning as well, that he's not really leaving many openings for Dragota.
Put your bedtime back.
Go ahead, Larry. Sorry.
I said delay your bedtime by 20 minutes. Watch the end of this thing, or if you're back marker Bob, just turn it on in the truck while you're heading on the highway and listening.
Yeah, that's
this
safe.
could be a pretty good finish.
Hey, I'm gonna
Bobby,
say something I shouldn't. I know.
Our number one fan. No, don't say it. But I just watching this, how Leo is so much more aggressive on the brakes. He closes up through the tight corners. He's quicker. It just doesn't have the legs. He can get a nose in front. Maybe he can hang on to it. He just has to somehow force Copeland into a bad line like that.
And look at Dragota moving over so quickly to try and pick up the draft when he realized he'd dropped back a couple extra car lengths. But here, Copeland's starting to make a little bit of a gap after that gaff.
Let's see if Dragota now changes his lines and the exits of some of these corners. Try and maximize that corner exit speed. That's what Copeland's doing well. Leo needs to do the same. Trying to get out there and get a good straight braking line is Leo. But look at that Copeland opening up a couple extra car lengths on this lap. Now up to almost a full second, and that's where the draft starts to drop off a little bit. If you're Dragota, you can't get out beyond that full second. You need that.
And here's where they come down that fairly long straight. Here we've got this high-speed kink at turn 11.
Well, take a look at the stats there on the screen. That is the pit lane time for each driver when they took their pit stop. Look at, by the way, look at the front of the field of Copeland and Dragota compared to the rest of the class. And then look at Copeland, almost more than a second ahead of Dragota. That's the difference in this race. That was the 3 car lengths he needed. Schwenke's beyond a minute, and then you've got Hartley, McDonald, the others at a minute 3. So great job.
The other drivers that we always mention how well they do conserving fuel.
Yeah, but you want to win races in this series. This is tight competition. You've got to do all phases. And Bailey Petrowski's talked about, some of the other drivers have talked about that over the years. You've got to hit all phases. You can't just go out there and turn qualifying laps. You've got to have racecraft. You got to save the tires. You got to save fuel, and you got to execute your pit stops. And traffic. And sing karaoke when you get interviewed post race. Just check all the boxes. As I'm hoping Mike Dam is watching and practicing, maybe getting his Bryan Adams karaoke together.
Yeah, I don't see him on the I don't see, he hasn't mentioned that he's at home on the couch like Ken Copeland was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, Ken at least watched live. Mike Dam, if he's watching on replay, Mike, you better warm up the vocal cords.
That's right.
Look at this gap now, over 2 seconds. Told you, Dragota's opportunity was on that outlap for Copeland, and he missed the opportunity. He wasn't able to get the nose of the car down in there anyway, and Copeland right now is just pulling away. And it looks like they're the only ones on the track.
And we mentioned, Larry, that once Copeland was in open air, when Dragota went in for his pit stop, he picked up about a half second to a full second on him, and that's what we're seeing right now again as they are lapping. Last lap was actually very similar lap times for the two of them, but we're seeing somewhere, and John, maybe we can throw up what the last couple of lap times are or were.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that in a moment.
A great battle going on here.
Yeah, a little bit further back here, as we've got Jennifer McDonald, Adam Ballard, and just ahead of Jennifer, that's Avon Dorsey. Avon Dorsey, he's your leader in AM, and Adam Ballard is running second in AM, and we've got Jennifer McDonald sitting right between the two of them.
Adam would love to maybe use Jennifer to pull himself back up to the back of Dorsey. David Steiner, third in AM, is the 2 seconds back. You can see his BMW there just coming out of the corner behind him.
And Larry, here's a big development in this fight. Going down the pit lane, you'll notice that Adam Ballard just took to the pits. He was just assigned a drive-through penalty.
It's Dorsey.
Yes. Just assigned a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility for an earlier incident. So and you can see he's really upset now, as that is now going to move Adam Ballard to the lead in AM. It's going to move David Steiner in the second, Keith Stein in the third. And we'll see here, I'm showing Dragota is still about a half minute behind. But Avon Dorsey now goes from the lead to fourth.
Well, that incident, based on what the text messages that are coming through, that was an incident with Andre Wedderburn. So that's unfortunate for Wedderburn, but really for Dorsey here, that is a killer. He came into tonight second points after having a good podium finish at Laguna Seca last time out. Adam Ballard came in tonight fourth, and here's the incident. That's Wedderburn in that red Porsche. That's Dorsey here, and gets into the back of him and spins him going onto the front straight, and that's going to cost him his chance for a win at this race. So he's going to get shuffled back based on that very long pit lane drive-through. He's down to fourth in class. Wow. Well, from a point standing, that helps Adam Ballard tremendously because he becomes the leader now in AM. And with Ilya Speaker having the night that he's having, no Ian Patience tonight, great opportunity here for Ballard. As we flash now to Ballard behind Jennifer McDonald, but Ballard 2 seconds ahead of David Steiner is the key. So Ballard would love to get around Jennifer, get an extra point there as well. But if he can make sure he stays ahead in the next 14 minutes, got to stay ahead of David Steiner and then keep Stein about 5 seconds further back from Steiner.
Yeah, and there you see the BMW the BMW Steiner there. What, about 35, 40 car lengths back?
It's only
about less than 2 seconds.
It's less than 2 seconds now, and I tell you, it was like 2.1 a little bit ago. So a 10th here, 10th there.
So about 35 car lengths back. It's now probably about 15 car lengths.
Exactly. It doesn't take long at all. And Jennifer running in sixth, and Prode having a great night as well. She wants to hold that spot, maximize her point reaping tonight. So we'll see if she's able to. And they're about 3 seconds back from Robert Hartley. So there's things that could still change here with just about 13 minutes left.
That's right. And, and we talked early on about how aggressive David Steiner looked, how he was much later on the brakes than some of the other drivers ahead of him. He's starting to make up just a little bit of ground now. Here on Ballard. Last time by Ballard, and he ran just similar lap times, but we've seen Steiner the last couple of laps, other than the last one, making up some ground.
Yeah, those two cars, a little bit different there, obviously, with the front engine BMW and the mid-engine Lamborghini, and they have different strengths in different areas of the track, so you'll see that number fluctuate. But all in all, Ballard with pretty good lap times. If he can keep doing what he's doing, he can maybe hold on to that spot, but it's not going to be easy because traffic is coming up in front of them. Traffic, Michael Caffrey getting plenty of air time tonight. He's in the battle now with Stacy Bertrand for 8th. Bertrand in the Rockefeller Racing entry, just ahead of the Dominate of Michael Caffrey.
And where I'm seeing Robert Hartley coming down the pit lane.
Oh, wonder if he didn't take enough fuel.
I think that may be it. Didn't he already call us about any penalties or anything along those lines? He just
unless off tracks could add up as well. It could cause some penalties, but
yeah,
I'm not
possibly.
sure. We don't have any official on that, but it is another one of the possibilities. Yes, it was incidents. Actually, I just now see in the race marshal chat, car 3 for 26 incidents, and that is Robert Hartley. So who else? Who else is hovering in the incident counts up into the 20s that might run into that in the next 10 minutes? Change things. Well, I'll tell you what, that helped a lot to Jennifer McDonald as she moved up to 4th in class, 4th in GT3, sorry, 5th.
5th.
My computer had her in 4th for a second. Obviously a mistake. She is still, though, now just behind about 9 seconds back from Brian Bennett, who we had talked about having a pretty good solid night tonight. He's about 5 seconds back from Travis Schwenke.
And as we've watched this fight between McDonald and Adam Ballard, who's your new leader in AM, Steiner, actually both Ballard and Steiner just reset their personal bests, Larry, and Steiner has made up some ground, but unfortunately it's only 5/100ths of a second.
Yeah, well, 10 minutes left. He's not out of it yet. Steiner he's got a chance. You don't know what the fuel levels are like in these guys, what the tire conditions are like, the number of off-track incidents. There's a lot of things that could change.
So you're saying there's a chance?
You're telling me there's a chance? Yeah, absolutely. Which one's done? Which one's done right? I'm a big Harry fan myself. All right, so keep an eye on that gap. Ballard to Steiner of 1.8 goes up to 2 seconds. So it just continues to fluctuate there. Now down to 1.6. It's Jennifer McDonald now, just 2.9 or 3 seconds back. A couple seconds back from
Brian Bennett.
Yeah, actually, she's a little bit back from Bennett, about 12 seconds, but about 3 seconds ahead of Adam Ballard.
Oh, look at so look at this, Larry. So Ken Copeland and Jeff Jacobs, I think for the first time ever, made a pass fairly simple for the overtaking car.
Not for
as
position.
Ken Copeland gets around, but the gap now about a little bit less than 3 seconds between he and Dragota. That we saw Dragota dropping off, and there's Dragota just now coming into the shot. He's got 2 entries ahead of him.
Yeah, Stacy Bertrand,
Jeff Jacobs and Stacy Bertrand.
Yeah. At this point, that'll be real tough for Dragota because Copeland's got a pretty good pace right now. Really isn't letting up. He's just gone, just absolutely mirrors down and just hit the road. Just do it. Don't worry about what's behind you. And he's doing a fantastic job of that. I just still wonder about. Not necessarily for Copeland, because he probably ran a pretty conservative first stint. It's the rest of the drivers and how many incidents are finally adding up for these guys. It'll be interesting. There's your race leader, Bailey Petrowski. 34, almost 35 seconds ahead of Milan Harris.
Just a dominating drive.
Yeah. Which, you think about it, he did this in the opening round. He was doing this at Laguna Seca until he had that unfortunate incident right there at the closing moment. So this seems to be true to form for Bailey Petrowski this season. This guy has put in the work to try and run consistently, and it's paying off. Not over yet, though. 7 more minutes on the clock. Around what I think is actually a pretty good track. We've seen some passing. We've seen some daring attempts at passing. But all in all, I think first race here for us at the Misano World Circuit it's all right. I may have to actually get in and run a few races in this place. This could be fun.
And for the first of the 3 rounds, Larry, where we have not seen a lot of carnage between the 2 different classes here. Again, I think there's been thankfully enough open track that we haven't seen any big mix-ups between the GTPs and GT3s tonight.
Yeah, this place is a bit of the Barcelona vibe to me.
Yeah,
in terms of how the place flows, relatively flat, races pretty well, a little bit like that. Quick run down the order. So Petrowski leads, Milan Harris second, Aaron Beaver currently holding that last podium spot. There's Harris running in second in that Rockefeller Racing entry. Aaron Beaver sitting in third. He's in also one of them. And look at that, just getting underneath Greg Brockway there. Wasn't sure if that was going to be a clear move, but he gets through. He's got one of his teammates right there in front of him. That's Rocky Rocco. So he's right now sitting in podium position. Of course, you got Ken Culp and Leo Jagoda, a couple seconds between them. Travis Schwenke, we haven't talked about him too much tonight, holding on to that 3rd spot, about 6 seconds ahead of 4th in Brian Bennett. But Schwenke, not quite there with the pace of Leo Jagoda tonight, but Schwenke potentially at a podium here.
All right, let's look at this, Larry. This is the battle for 10th right now between the Oreo cookie car of Rocky Rocco, and Greg Brockway from Frito Sport Racing. And pulling up right behind them, there is...
this is going to get interesting. Because
there's
Jennifer McDonald, Adam Ballard, and David Steiner.
Yeah.
Ballard and Steiner, of course, are running in the competition here. There's a whole lot of cars
for the battle for the lead in AM,
Yeah, so Steiner, I think, is the one at the back of the shot there. He's about 10, 15 car lengths back, but because they're coming up in this battle, Jennifer McDonald and Adam Ballard are likely to be held up a little bit here, so this could get interesting with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, and look at Halabi just flashing the lights, trying to find a way through himself.
A smart way to do it. He's got a 4th place. He can hold on to that. That's good points haul for him. So definitely doesn't want to ruin that here with the last couple laps.
Halabi is now through.
But Jennifer McDonald is not.
Oh.
Yep, not quite yet. She's trying. She's right there behind Brockway, but Brockway's in his own fight. It's the way things are between Rocco and Brockway. Say that 3 times fast. As they are battling, and it's one of those things. It's still on. The burden falls on the passing car to find a safe way by, and you're not going to make these guys give up their battle. Brockway to the inside there runs wide at the exit onto the straightaway here.
Yeah, but he got a lot of speed out of the corner and get that move done. Good move by Greg Brockway.
Yeah, talk about being aggressive. All starting a corner exit, back a whole straightaway. Great job there. McDonald, though, I think, still hasn't gotten around Rocco.
No. Oh, and she's going to try now.
Yeah, and Steiner's coming quickly there behind them. Right at the back of this train, and there's a GTP in there somewhere hiding. Is that Nikki Chan?
I think that's Nikki Chan, in the 0-10.
There she goes. Oh. Use all the grass. There's another one coming up behind there as well. That might be Reesman's Cadillac. Oh, it's getting heavy. Oh, it's spicy. Jennifer goes around. Oh, no, and Rocco almost does. Jennifer is still sitting in that 4th, 5th spot. She wants to stay ahead of Hartley. Hartley's about 17 seconds. Jennifer might be able to hold this spot. Keith Stein goes by, so it's points she's losing, but still holding on to 5th in pro. We have to catch a replay of that traffic.
Yeah, let's take a look here, Larry. I think she might have just gotten caught out by, either by Chan. Oh, look at this.
She gets into the back, or maybe just abrupts and didn't realize the speed of Brockway.
Yeah.
Ugh. That is tough because she was having a good run there up into the. She's still in the top 5, but she lost a couple track position spots. So that leaves now Ballard and Steiner together. We may want to catch that battle. Oh, this gets right into the back of him.
Yeah, let's see if we can get up to David Steiner and Adam Ballard and where they are on track.
There they are. So again, reset the Lamborghini, Adam Ballard, Rockefeller Racing. That's him in the number 29. David Steiner is in the BMW, just at the trail of this. They're going to go 3 wide into this. And look at Steiner, he's right alongside. And is that Brockway trying to stay out of the way? Steiner now on the outside, Ballard on the inside. Ballard knows what's at stake here. This is for the win at AM. 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes to go.
This is nuts. All going to depend on where Petrowski is. He'll be the one that determines when we get the white flag. And there's the white flag
in the air now, Larry.
So let's head back to our battle here. These guys got a lap and a half to go. It's Adam Ballard ahead of David Steiner. This is the lead. This is for the win in AM. And a 5th overall. It's a good run for whoever gets this thing. I don't know. Steiner's got to figure something out. That Lamborghini looks pretty planted coming out of these hairpins. Little defensive line, though, for Ballard.
Yeah, but look at how Steiner opened up that corner.
Uh-huh.
And he carries a lot of speed out of that hairpin.
The smart thing to do at this point when you're trying to catch up to him, if the other guy starts going defensive too early, which I think perhaps Ballard is, Steiner's smart. Open him up. Let's get your good exits. Now they're going to see a white flag. One more lap to determine who wins AM here in GT3. Meanwhile, Copeland still leads 5 seconds on Jagoda for GT3 Pro. Petrowski's leading Harris. Petrowski's on his white flag. This is the best battle on the track. Ballard did a good job of withstanding the pressure here. Holding that couple of car lengths lead.
All right, and here we come. Across the line and taking the win in GTP in the number 115 D2D Sim Racing Acura, Bailey Petrowski. Congratulations to him coming across the line, and he's going to take the win in GT3 Pro. For the wrong stuff, it's Ken Copeland. All right, let's jump back to that battle for the lead in GT3 AM. Where Adam Ballard now with a 3-car length advantage, although it's expanding and contracting, Larry, down to about 1.
Ballard was 3rd in the first race. He had a rough finish there, finished 12th in the last race. But Steiner won AM in the opening round.
Yeah.
Steiner was not at Laguna Seca, so that's why he's down in 7th in the order. They both need these points, but a win would be huge for either one of them, considering the way this is going to be going with Speaker being good and maybe an off night tonight. Both of them want this. Great job so far for Ballard with a couple of corners left.
Here we go as we come into the final corners.
That's wide.
Onto the front straight, and wow, does Ballard run wide, but he's going to get it gathered back up and taking the win in GT3 AM. Adam Ballard, David Steiner will finish in 2nd. Keith Stein comes home in 3rd.
Wow. Great way to hold off that pressure there of all that crazy racing the last couple laps. Ballard did a wonderful job of just maintaining composure, holding on for that win. I can't wait to talk to him.
Well, we're going to have a chance in just a few moments, Larry, but first, let's thank some of our partners and sponsors, and then when we come back, we're going to talk to our winners here at the Misano World Circuit, where you've just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Rick Motec World Challenge, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Butt Kicker here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
Rick Motec, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Rick Motec has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, rickmotec.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Rick Motec, high-performance sim racing equipment. Hundreds of name brand parts. Expert support. Rick Motec has you covered. There's only one place to go, rickmotec.com.
And welcome back to Misano World Circuit. Marco Simicelli, where you've just seen round number 3 of the Extreme Motorsports Rick Motec World Challenge presented by the SCCA Foundation and Butt Kicker. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, let's run down the finishing order here once again. Taking the win in GTP, Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing, with Rockefeller's Milan Harris finishing second. Aaron Beaver, also from Rockefeller Racing, taking the third step on the podium. In GT3 AM, Adam Ballard taking the win in that class. He is also from Rockefeller Racing, with David Steiner from Dominate Racing finishing second, Keith Stein finishing in third. And then finally in GT3 Pro, Ken Copeland from The Wrong Stuff takes the win over Leo Dragotta and Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing, with Brian Bennett from Sector 5 finishing just off the podium in fourth. And Larry, during our break, we have got to see the best in drag racing burnouts, I think.
Forget the burnouts. I'm watching the donut competition going on here between
too.
Copeland and Dragotta. It looks fantastic. I want to see if Copeland does the interview
Seriously.
while doing donuts.
I mean, it looked like Ken Copeland was getting ready, was in the burnout box for Maple Grove.
And he's drifting his Mercedes GT3 now around.
He's
some of
going
these
after
corners.
all of the different specialties or all the different versions of motor racing here.
I love it.
I didn't know with the Mercedes that it had a line lock, because you could actually shift all the brake bias to the front wheels and just at a standstill do a burnout. And we know how good that Mercedes sounds at full song.
Oh, yeah.
It sounded amazing.
Best engine in the sim. I haven't
That's
heard
it.
the Mustang yet.
All right, well, let's do this because we know Ken is still testing the tires.
Let's pull him in while he's doing donuts.
Exactly. All right, so here is Ken Copeland, driver of the number 15, The Wrong Stuff Mercedes, your GT3 Pro winner.
Ken Copeland joining us. And Ken, you know the phrase "time to make the donuts." I think that's what you were just doing as we had the camera shot on you, full icing, glaze, and chocolate sprinkles on the donuts. But that's because you've earned your sprinkles. You got the win here tonight. Great race. That reemergence in the pits. Tell me a little bit about the timing to stay ahead of Dragotta.
Yeah, that timing was a little hard to tell. So I got a lot of practice in, but pits were not something I practiced. And what makes it difficult is you've got the relative like you do at every track, but the pit lane skips 2 and 3. So when I hit the line, he was basically zeroed with me, and I was thinking I might get me, but they dropped back like an additional 2.5 seconds after they come through 3. So it was a shot in the park. Didn't really know exactly where we were going to come out, but was willing to chance it, and it worked out in my favor.
Yeah, great job. And then it looked like maybe Dragotta had an opportunity on that out lap of yours, but once you got a little maybe heat in the tires again, you just sort of checked out. Is that part of it? I guess, a little bit of the strategy and staying behind Dragotta early was just kind of save the car, save the pace, and have it for the end.
Yeah, like I didn't get to practice next to Leo or even any of the Orion guys this week much. I had no idea where anybody was going to be. And Misano's rough on tires. It's one of those tracks that if you abuse the car, it's going to hit you back. So my game plan all race was to basically open up the track as much as I could, throw any off tracks out the window and don't worry about them, and just basically do everything I could to open up corners and take care of the tires. Managed to qualify in behind him, stuck in close, and was able to just kind of keep it there. And that was the game plan that seemed to work out for me.
Yeah, great run there to get the victory here. Awesome job. But I know, as always, I'm sure you got some folks that helped you get the victory tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. All the guys at TWS are, of course, awesome. The Wrong Stuff team's just a brilliant team that's fun to do a bunch of special events with, practice with in XMS and a couple other leagues that we participate in. I do want to thank our sponsors, Be Safe, Dangerous, Abruzzi, SimMotion, WC91 Liveries. And in addition to that, obviously, I want to thank all of you at Apex Racing TV. Y'all do a wonderful job week to week. Same thing with all the admin guys over at XMS. They run 3 leagues throughout the year, and I know it's a ton of work. So, Bobby, thank you for all the livery work. Kevin and Jeff and Russ, thanks for everything on the admin work behind the scenes. And then, of course, Ryan Cobb doing all the tough work, running penalties. So it's just appreciated. It's a lot of fun to come out every Monday. So thank you.
Yeah, well, awesome job getting the win tonight. Back in the win column, first one this season. So congrats to the Wrong Stuffs, Ken Copeland.
Thank you. You gentlemen have a nice evening.
All right, there you go. Thanks so much, Ken. All right, let's move over, Larry, to GTP, and we're going to bring in our second place finisher. And I don't know the last time we got to speak to him, but let's bring in Rockefeller Racing's Milan Harris, finishing second tonight.
All right, so joining us here tonight is Rockefeller Racing's Milan Harris, who finished second in GTPs. I tell you, Milan, you had a great run there, keeping up with Bailey for a long time, but the story tonight seemed to be a lot of that traffic out there. There were a lot of battles in those GT3s. What's it like trying to find a passing zone around this new circuit?
Yeah, the traffic kind of got me here and there. Bailey just had a great pace. At the end of the day, I knew I wasn't going to catch him unless I got lucky and he got unlucky in the traffic. And I'm not quite sure how it played out with traffic with him and stuff. But overall, I think on the track, the traffic was good working with the other drivers and stuff like that. So it was good and clean, fun. And he was just running parade laps out there waving at his fans. He was just quick. There was nothing I could do. And I guess I'm just going to take second. But, hats off to him on that. And, shout out to my teammate Aaron for taking third. Props on that and stuff. And huge shout out to the Rockefeller Racing team. All the GT3 guys teams have been working together and stuff. They're starting to pick some pace and kind of get a little bit smarter with the racing and stuff, so I think they're working together really well. So the team's working good on that, and shout out to all the series sponsors and stuff. It's a great league. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, big night for Rockefeller Racing. Obviously, you mentioned the two of you there on the podium in GTP. It seems like half of the field in AM is Rockefeller Racing. So it's been a great influx to see this kind of participation. A lot of really fast drivers, yourself included, to come on in here and run in this series. And for you tonight, looks like your first podium here, I think, this season. So congrats on that. Anybody else you wanted to thank when you got the chance here tonight?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you to, thanks to the Rockefeller Racing team, the league, you guys. Love the broadcast. We all have a blast here. So thank you.
All right, well, congrats. Milan Harris finishing second tonight in GTP.
All right, thanks so much, Milan. And now let's move over to our GTP winner, and that is Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing in the number 115 Acura.
All right, Bailey, you had the rough outing last week. I have a feeling that as soon as that race ended, you probably just jumped on and started laying laps here at Misano World Circuit. What were the last couple weeks for you like, knowing maybe the eating away of Laguna Seca was taking its toll?
Well, I definitely did a lot of laps. I was kind of forced to as well, because iRacing kept making changes to my car, kept making last-second changes, to the point where I had to make changes to make the car drivable 15 minutes before this race started.
Oh.
So I was a bit terrified of this whole race, because I didn't know how the car would react in certain places, so I had to drive a little bit more conservative with the traction control and anti-roll bars than what I was used to and what I was comfortable with in all of my practice sessions. But it definitely made it an interesting race, and I was struggling to control the car at times because of that, but I was still pretty much matching the pace that I had in the earlier practice sessions, so I'm pretty happy with how that went.
Yeah, from from the qualifying session and from the green flag, it looked like you were just kind of on another level of everybody tonight, which perhaps afforded you the flexibility that when it came to traffic management to just sort of pick your spots and be more deliberate where the folks behind you maybe had to take the chances to try and stay up with you. But it's a great night for you for a points haul as well, with your teammate and rival not making it out of here. So no Palakui Grant tonight.
Yes.
So good chance for a points haul. I think Tanner Dibble, another one, also not running tonight. So does that mean something to you? I mean, obviously a win's a win, but in getting wins when it comes to a long season and a points battle, is that important to make sure you take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves?
Absolutely. In terms of the championship, this is, you can kind of see it as just a freebie. I'm not necessarily sure why people didn't show up. There were a lot of changes to a lot of the cars, so it's possible that people just weren't comfortable going into this session and just didn't feel confident enough to drive tonight. But either way, I can take whatever I get, especially after what happened at Laguna Seca. And with all these races, they're very unpredictable. That's kind of what multi-class is. There's so many factors, you never know what's going to happen. And well, like Laguna Seca, you could be leading 20 seconds ahead and all of a sudden the race ended. So anything can happen. So you've got to take any advantage you can get.
Yep, take the goods with the bads and see how it plays out over a season. So awesome job tonight, put on a real clinic for us, and getting the win again here. 2 out of 3 races so far this season, but I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for the help.
Yes, I want to thank my family as always for supporting, as well as my team. Fortunately, most of them weren't here for the race tonight, but I know Bobby was supporting, and he said he would be watching the whole time. So appreciate the team as always.
From his pickup truck, yes.
Yeah. He actually was going to
Perfect.
listen to the end of the race on the road that he had to get onto tonight, but he was definitely there pulling for the DTD teams.
He's definitely a man of his word.
Yep.
So, but yeah, thank the team as always. Want to thank family, thank friends. Thank you guys for commentating on these races. Thanks to the people who showed up to the race tonight. And oh yeah, thanks to the sponsors for all series that help make all this possible as well.
Absolutely. Need those sponsors. We appreciate their support. We give them all the love that we can. So getting the win tonight overall GTP, second win of the season, Billy Petrowski. Congrats.
Thank you. See you next week.
All right, Larry, let's move over now to our GT3 AM winner. Driving for Rockefeller Racing in the number 29 Lamborghini is Adam Ballard.
All right, we've saved the best interview for last, so Adam, no pressure there, but certainly the best race of the night as it came down to the end there. How nervous were you when the pack in front of you sort of built up and your lead over David Steiner was dwindling quickly?
I was absolutely terrified. I was only in that position because of the bad luck that happened to Avon. I don't think I had anything for him if he wouldn't have got that drive-through. But everybody at Rockefeller Racing really pushes you to do your best, and I think that's my first win with the team. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, wins are always tough to come by. Huge field tonight, 16 AM drivers. I mean, you've got the pro drivers. Well, you finished 5th overall in GT3. Is in this field that it's a stacked place to play in this group. We see it all the time. What kind of prep can you do for this race? Did you already own the track? Did you put in a lot of time? And what's the preparation efforts for you?
well, for my team specifically, not many of them have driven Misano, but I came from ACC where you only have a handful of tracks, so I've probably put in 400 laps on ACC. Granted, the physics are different, but I knew the general layout, what to do and what not to do. And at a track like this that's flat and hot, you just got to keep it smooth and limit the X's. And fun fact, I hit my 19th X on the last corner exit of the last lap. Almost was out there long enough to get the slowdown, so I was a little worried about that.
We were wondering. We saw you come out there. We're like, oh no, it's going to be close and run to the finish line. But yeah, awesome job there at the end, making it dramatic for all of us. It made it a lot of fun and a great night for you and for your teammates as well. So congrats on the win, but I'm sure those teammates, if you want to mention a few by name or anybody else to support your efforts.
Yeah, pretty much everybody at Rockefeller, Avon, Ilya, Milan, Stacy, everybody goes a long way to make sure everybody's prepared, putting in the time they need to, and they're ready to, make a good name for the team.
Well, awesome job there tonight. The whole team, massive effort, it seems, up and down all the classes, but especially a great effort for you as well, pulling in this first win here tonight for Rockefeller Racing's Adam Ballard. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Thanks so much to Adam and Larry. So let's wrap things up here from the Misano World Circuit and take a look forward as to what we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. And next week, next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the Sports Car Series, that's for our GT4 and LMP3 racers. We're going to be heading to the Motorsports Arena Oschersleben and heading to that 2.3 mile circuit in Germany for another 60-minute race. And then in 2 weeks, it is going to be our first 90-minute endurance race of the season for the Rick Motec World Challenge. Of course, we're going to the Circuit de la Sarthe to Le Mans, so that will be Monday night, June 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then remember, come this August, the Rick Motec Touring Car Cup for our MX-5 Cup and GR86 Cup cars will return. And you can find out more about our series, and even maybe we can find you on the grid. All you have to do is go to www.xmsracing.com. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg. Thanks so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Rick Motec, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, rickmotec.com.